That is why this mechanism set up by the law, the extant law, has made it very easy for people to approach. But now it seems that the court, which seems to grind, slowly, is still the last hope of common man. Of recent, we've seen several judgments coming, is always the court. If you go to NERC, websites, you see that they will tell you they've resolved so many issues. They resolve so many issues, yet the violation of customers' rights are continuously being, carried out by these officers of these discos. Now, the law is that the thing is that once a law is made or once a judgment is made, which you believe should be what NERC should be doing, once these things are made, they should be able to send it across that you staffers of Ikeja Electricity or any of the discos, you are to comply with this. This is the position. Anybody found wanting in this position will be dealt with. We don't need to keep making the same complaint over and over. Hey, they disconnected me without notice. I contested my an exorbitant bill and they cut me out unlawfully. They disconnected me unlawfully. We should not keep going over and over, same thing. Yes, our experience, like I said the other time, was very, very, very appalling. And the fact that they could treat, the complaint of consumers with that kind of scorn, disrespect, and all that shows that there is something systemically wrong with the entire system, with the entire, mechanism that the law has stipulated. Our experience, like we said, we made, by my staff, made several attempts to serve them with the letters. They refused. We were constrained to serve them by courier. We did that. When they refused to attend to us for months, we were constrained to go to the next level, which is the NERC Forum. The letter was actually acknowledged, but they said they couldn't find the stamp of Ikeja Electricity on it. And all that. And from our experience, we had a similar experience with the Office of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, where we served them a letter. Why the other ministry was complaining, the Honorable Attorney General forwarded the same complaint, the judgment, everything, forwarded it to the office. If the NERC Forum, they are actually being sincere and they want to do justice, we have sent you our complaint. All you need to do is forward the same complaint to them and tell them treat, and tell us that we have given them the mandate to treat your complaint. But they were saying we didn't serve them. Somebody that we made attempts severally to serve physically, they couldn't. We now served by courier, and we even displayed and attached the way bill. We are using this medium for government and all stakeholders to look into this. NERC has become a leviathan. Not NERC. Some of these discos, they have become a giant, intractable leviathan that only government can check their excesses. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. People's lives will be disconnected without regard, with no regard for rule of law, with in gross violation of the regulation of the NESI, in gross violation of the extant laws of this peculiar energy sector. The law says that any contravention of the Act, that is the Electricity Sector Power Sector Reform Act 2005, that any violation of that right is a criminal offense. And once it's a criminal offense, the police have the power to investigate, and if in a case you accrue against such person, the police have the power to prosecute. So Nigerians, since their mechanism for dispute has failed and has failed abysmally, Nigerians should approach the police. And I'm sure the police are also suffering from this their attitude. So police will be very eager to support them. And I heard Nigerian police should be brave. I know that people behind these discourse are strong people, but they should be brave. It's the law. They should apply the law the way it is.
Well, it's another very wonderful opportunity, a unique moment in Lagos, somewhere in Lagos. And we want to thank God for this time because it has not been so easy. It still has to do with our investigation on the activities of some of the discos and the consumers. You will recall that in recent time we have released videos from the All Electricity Consumer Protection Forum. We have released several videos from the All Electricity Consumer Protection Forum, whereby the national coordinator in the person of Comrade Samuel Adeola Ilori spoke to us on some of the issues regarding customer relation and some of the service providers, especially as related to the issue of capping and the sudden increase in power in recent time. We also spoke to the General Secretary, Madam Kehinde Jones, who also gave us some of the issues, especially the law and the rules of engagement between customers and service providers. And you will see that we have been using the issue of Ikeja Electric as a kind of as an idea. We'll be using the issue of Ikeja Electric as an example, because we've been using the issue of Ikeja Electric as a case study because that is where some of those things happen. They are one of the largest suppliers in Lagos, and they dominate a very big spheres of influence in terms of business. And in the last 3, 4, 5 months, we've been investigating a particular area, which is Abule Taylor. Not that we're not investigating other areas. We are going to come out with those videos very soon. We've investigated Abule Taylor, which is under Aquajo Business Units, and the activities of one Mr. Fred Udogbo, whom a lot of community people have reported to us since last year that he has made life so very unbearable. And we have also used few real estate, few properties, especially the house of Princess Balogun, whereby a bill running to 1.5 million was released to her, telling her because the house was locked for 3 years plus, and they said because the house was locked, there was no notes or whatever. They brought the bill, and the woman was paying out of panic. They came and disturbed their life. There were tenants in the house after the 4 years interregnum, and they came and dropped the life for 6 months. The woman was forced into panic paying, and eventually Fred and his men decided to also bring another odious bill. They said it's a pumping machine, and they came and dropped the light again, put the people in darkness during the COVID era, especially in the month of February, I think from February 10 up to May. And eventually the woman, because of her capacity, when we got the story, we spoke to her, and she has to engage a lawyer. Well, today we are going to be meeting the lawyer again. We've met him when we were handling this issue at the beginning, and because why we are meeting him is because he's an energy law expert, and it's not easy getting him. He's very busy on other issues, but today we want to find out how far the case has gone, because we are using that house as a case study, and there are other places, landlords that are speaking. Some don't want to show their face, but we have their voice, who are relating their experience to us. I want to use this as a case study so that a lot of people will learn and know that there is no decorum in some of the activities by the executives of some of these discos, especially Ikeja Electric. Today we are going to be meeting a legal mind, an energy law expert, a very humble lawyer. We want to thank him for the time. We are meeting Barrister Femi Adisa-ISIKALU in his humble abode somewhere in Lagos here, and I want to thank him for this time. It's not easy reaching out to him. We've been on him for the past 3 weeks, and we thank him for giving us this precious time today. Barrister, we want to thank you, sir, for this time. It has not been easy, and reaching out to you, and because of the issues at stake, we just felt that we need to talk to you. We try reaching your client, but we learned that she's indisposed, and that is the case of Princess Balogun, and the issue of some of the activities of Ikeja Electric. And we also want to use this opportunity to, we told your aide in the office that we want to use the opportunity to also ask you about the recent increase in electricity tariff, which made Nigerians unaware. But first and foremost, how will you describe your relationship with Ikeja Electric? We learned that you were able to submit a complaint letter to them since June. That's after the lockdown. And since then, they've been kind of a lackadaisical from what we got from your clients. And we said, okay, you as a lawyer, as the energy expert, what do you deduce from that transaction, and how do you feel? Are you comfortable with the arbitration system of Ikeja Electric and the NERC Forum?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Agbengazanabi. I welcome you and your team once again to my humble abode.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak on this topical issue again. Yes, going straight to the question, I personally, I am not only disappointed in Ikeja Electric Company, of Ikeja Electric PLC. I am not only disappointed, but I am actually, befuddled by their attitude towards the mechanism stipulated by the law in resolving dispute or resolving consumers' complaint. The law has been very, very express. On paper, the law looks very fantastic. Pursuant to Section 96 of the Electricity Reform, Power Sector Reform Act 2005, it empowers NERC to make regulations.
Are you talking about Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission?
Yeah, Electricity Power Sector Reform Act. Yes, the Nigerian Electricity Reform Sector Act make provision that NERC can create regulations to ensure the smooth running of the activities of the discos. Now, pursuant to this law, a regulation has been made on how disputes or complaints of consumers and customers may be resolved. And like we said in our last video, in our last encounter, that there are tripod, mechanism set out by the law and the regulation, which is that if there is a complaint, the first thing you do is that you go to the consumer, unit of the discos, of the specific discos. If they are unable to resolve that, you move to the NERC Forum. And if you're unable to if you're not satisfied with it, you can now make an appeal directly to NERC. Now, this process looks very simple. Looks as if NERC actually cared and all that. But engaging the mechanism, we discovered that that mechanism is a total and abysmal system failure. Not at the instance of the system, but at the instance of the people that are saddled with the responsibility of making it work. I am bound by oath of confidentiality between my clients and what we had. But our experience...
Yes, sir, because I know you are bound by... but I want to beg you with total honor, sir, because, sir, the purpose, when you see our proposal, when we send it to you, is to find out your own experience with that mechanism. Because a lot of Nigerians, to be honest with you, I want to tell you this, we've spoken to the All Electricity Consumer Protection Forum, and they also said there is a section, there is a clause in the Power Act that allows the discos to pay for the facility being used by the NERC Forum. And we found that very awkward. We found it very, very funny, very unfair.
In one of the provisions, I think that's section 9 or section 10, subsection 1 of that, it says it is the discos that will provide the office for the forum staffers.
That is a very sad one, sir. That's very sad.
So that is the area I saw when I was going through, because I told you, I said I eat, I drink, and I digest all these law as it relates to my job as the National Coordinator of Electricity Consumer Protection Forum. That's why you cannot meet me by surprise. When you ask of anything that relates to this, I will tell you. It is for you to go and check it. In that schedule, it was stated that it is the discos of that area that will provide accommodation for all the members of the NERC Forum. So, by virtues of the law of nature, he who paid the pipe dictate the tone. Yes, that is the first thing that I consider as an error. That you want me to bring the matter of somebody that offended me to the office you created to adjudicate on my matter, and it is the same person that provide the office for me to, for the people I'm coming there to meet to use. Of course, except the person there are really a kind of a consumer friendly people.
Angels.
No, consumer
Maybe
friendly,
angels.
because if somebody like me or anybody from around that is there, I don't care whether you are the one that even buy the whole house. You understand my point? So, but I look at it as there is no way that there will be no conflict of interest, so to say, because the person that provided, if the forum keep on giving judgment, giving directive that is against the disco that we brought before them, at the end of the day, by the next renewal of the office, they will tell you they don't have money now. Do you understand? Even though it is an act provision, they will tell you they don't have money now. You understand my point? So that is the area where I find it difficult, that it will be very hard for people, and I've had occasion that people will even get judgment there and the disco will not implement it. Yes, we have brought some into this office to our group and say we got judgment to see so thing, but this disco failed to implement it. That disco failed to implement it. That disco failed to implement it. And what I will always advise them is that go back to the forum and let the forum know that the judgment they passed, they have not been obeyed. Because in the provisions of consumer settlement and mechanism for intervention, it is stated that if you are not satisfied, either it is consumer or the disco, you can appeal to NERC to review whatever judgment they give at the forum. Are you getting my point? So I will ask whether they have written to the NERC at Abuja to know whether that thing is not, they are not satisfied, so that it will subject to review. But some of the time they will not even write any appeal. The only thing they discover that the disco will not obey that thing. So those are the areas where problems lies. The NERC forum are active, but being active is different from being successful.
So we want to use your experience as a case study, and that's why we beg you, because we knew you tactically refused to divorce some of it, but we want you to give us an overview of what you saw and how you feel. And because if at your own level and at your client level, your client is one of the privileged Nigerians who can afford engagement with a lawyer, what of the millions of vulnerable consumers in lower areas like Agege, Iyanopaja, Ojokoro, Songwater, which is under Ibadan Electric Distribution Company, but majorly Ojokoro area and Abule Taylor, all those Abules there, Abule Egba, which is under Akowonjo and all the rest. How do they engage a lawyer? And if they want to engage the mechanism, how do they? You as an energy expert, you should have more to tell us from your engagement and your experience.
Yes. Well, like I said, that I'm bound by oath of confidentiality between myself and my client, but nevertheless, like you said, I would reveal without hurting my clients. I reveal to some extent, the problem we encountered in engaging the mechanism set up by the regulations. We discovered that conveniently, the customer complaint unit of Ikeja Electricity have always been hiding under the cloak of COVID-19. And they have used that, brilliantly, but I would say disingenuously, to shield and to disenfranchise millions or thousands of Nigerians from hearing their view, from actually, activating that procedure that the law have stipulated. Our experience has been so bad. We made attempts to even submit our complaint on about 3 occasions, unsuccessfully, only for us to, devise a means of sending to them by courier. And eventually we got one of the parties we copied to have it, acknowledged, which is what we needed to move to the next stage, because we knew that they were not going to do anything about our complaint. They treated it with absolute scorn and levity, which is very unfortunate. If you have noticed, the trend has been that most of the major or pivotal decisions affecting Ikeja electricity as to protection of customers and consumers has always been from the court. And now, the trend now is that people are trying to shy away from the court because of the delay in the court process, the slowness in dispensing justice. That is why this mechanism set up by the law, the extant law, has made it very easy for people to approach. But now it seems that the court, which seems to grind, slowly, is still the last hope of common man. Of recent, we've seen several judgments coming, is always the court. If you go to NERC, websites, you see that they will tell you they've resolved so many issues. They resolve so many issues, yet the violation of customers' rights are continuously being, carried out by these officers of these discos. Now, the law is that the thing is that once a law is made or once a judgment is made, which you believe should be what NERC should be doing, once these things are made, they should be able to send it across that you staffers of Ikeja Electricity or any of the discos, you are to comply with this. This is the position. Anybody found wanting in this position will be dealt with. We don't need to keep making the same complaint over and over. Hey, they disconnected me without notice. I contested my an exorbitant bill and they cut me out unlawfully. They disconnected me unlawfully. We should not keep going over and over, same thing.
Your Lordship, sorry, sir, to cut you here. I want to interject. Please, sir, what is your practical experience from your servants in the chambers? What was the field experience like when you were sending a letter that, oh, my customer said you wrongly billed me in relation XYZ. You said my house was empty for so years and you brought this bill. Then one of your staff has also duped me of XYZ amount of money. This is the phone number of the guy. Another staff told me I have to pay. I did panic paying, and only for them to go and generate another funny bill and started, because they saw that I've been paying the 1.something million, they brought another 300, because I was able to get some information, So who collected this at the gates and how did they relate to your engagement strategy?
Yes. Our experience, like I said the other time, was very, very, very appalling. And the fact that they could treat, the complaint of consumers with that kind of scorn, disrespect, and all that shows that there is something systemically wrong with the entire system, with the entire mechanism that the law has stipulated. Our experience, like we said, we made, by my staff, made several attempts to serve them with the letters. They refused. We were constrained to serve them by courier. We did that. When they refused to attend to us for months, we were constrained to go to the next level, which is the NERC Forum of that particular disco.
So what did you discover at the NERC Forum?
At NERC Forum also, we were told that they can't receive it because of COVID-19.
They can't receive it physically, or they can't receive it
physically. They can't receive the hard copy that we should send by mail. We sent by mail. To our utmost surprise, we got a mail. The mail informing us that they couldn't find the acknowledgement. Oh, no, not the letter was actually acknowledged, but they said they couldn't find the stamp of Ikeja Electricity on it. And all that. And from our experience, we had a similar experience with the Office of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, where we served them a letter. While the other ministry was complaining, the Honorable Attorney General forwarded the same complaint, the judgment, everything, forwarded it to the office. If the NERC Forum, they are actually being sincere and they want to do justice, we have sent you our complaint. All you need to do is forward the same complaint to them and tell them treat, and tell us that we have given them the mandate to treat your complaint. But they were saying we didn't serve them. Somebody that we made attempts severally to serve physically, they couldn't. We now served by courier, and we even displayed and attached the way bill
A way bill of the courier company, suggesting that it was received.
It was received and delivered.
And yet they were telling that they didn't see the stamp of Akowanjo, that is the business unit that is handling Fred Udogbo's station.
Yes. So when they raised that, we're constrained to go straight to the third, stage, which is appeal directly to the NERC office, to the commission. So the moment we wrote the commission via email and we copied them, because we are actually carrying out, we are actually fighting for a cause that we know, how can you surcharge a person for over 1.5 million for services that were not used? We did not only see that as unfair, we saw it as gross abuse of power by the Ikeja electricity. Even the whole NEPA regime, they seem to be way a lot better than what we have now. I don't know, maybe this idea of having to make profit at all cost, all known line of engagement, decency, respect for rule of law have been thrown away. And that's why that agreement that gave them those licenses should be reviewed at the appropriate time. I think it's time for government to review it and government to revamp the whole idea. These people are not here to serve Nigeria, rather they are here to suck and milk Nigeria. You surcharge a woman to pay 1.5 million. This woman has been paying for light that were not consumed. I want to honor
our tenants.
Yes, just to ensure that. And when this woman submitted a complaint that she has paid over 700,000, and someone even duped her from the irresponsible organization with all sense of respect to Ikeja, should look at this complaint. Then draw a conclusion. Just look at it. That's what we're saying. Look at it and tell us that, no, you were wrong, you were right. And we will advise our client appropriately. But you have refused, which is a violation of Section 36 of the Constitution of Nigeria, the ground norm. Everybody has this right to fair hearing. Now, an organization that has deprived average Nigerian, ordinary Nigerian citizen of fair hearing, such organization, with all due respect, does not deserve our respect. And this organization is also the organization in charge of basic, utility service, like power supply. We are using this medium for government and all stakeholders to look into this. NERC has become a leviathan. Not NERC. Some of these discos, they have become a giant, intractable leviathan that only government can check their excesses. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. People's life to be disconnected without regard, with no regard for rule of law, in gross violation of the regulation of the NESI, in gross violation of the extant laws of this peculiar energy sector. And when you complain, you can't do anything. How many Nigerians can afford to go to court? How many Nigerians can afford to go to court? Complain that these people overbilled me for 3,000 naira. It looks ridiculous. But when you get 3,000 naira in over 100,000 houses, this is a lot of money.
It's not even that kind of money. Get outrageous. I mean, if a 2-bedroom in that area, they are crying that they're giving them 48,000. In fact, there was a particular 2-bedroom that they gave 72,000 before, even during the capping, sir. To be honest with you, when capping even came out in February, Ikeja Electric was not even using capping. It's one of those discos that refused to follow to the capping. They were bringing outrageous bill, something beyond estimated billing. And this is what a lot of these people are crying about when we went out to Bajomo, to the Lerato area, to Itesiwaju, Izokpelu, and a lot of other communities that spoke to us there. They all cried that they've been overbilled, some houses disconnected for 1 year, some for 6 months, some for 3 months. I mean, we even spoke to a woman recently that said, oh, it is Fred that came to our shop and told her that it's going to destroy our business, and she couldn't do her business again because they started bringing outrageous bill to shops whereby they're doing little blocks to just sell pure water and minerals, and the woman have to close her shop, move to another place. We have a video of the woman. In fact, it's so draconian. Fred Udogbo is notorious for doing all these things. Boys are notorious for disconnecting people, group disconnection, and that was what led to the protest in April. And even the one that has to do with your client, that was what led to it. It was wrongly billed. So, sir, how do you think government can react to this? Because even despite the videos, despite the uproar, this same Fred is still sitting in the office there. They refuse to remove him after 3 months. And it's the same person, I'm sure, that you send a letter to his boss in Ponle. That is it Lawrence Okoye? I mean, that there was nonchalant reaction to the letter. So what do you think is the problem? What do you think is the solution to this kind of, what can I call it, notorious acts?
Yes. What we observe from our stint with them as a problem is the fact that the system, I won't say the law now, the system has made the discourse the judge, the prosecutor, the executioner. There is no form of independence whatsoever. You mentioned the other time now that you were informed that someone said that it's the discourse that are responsible for the office of
the NERC Forum. Yes, yes, it was Honorable Ilori who brought out the clause in the Power Act that suggests that clause is very horrible, and I think it's a very it's a fraudulent clause. If I'm permitted to say before you, sir, you know, I have to take this permission because you're a lawyer. Before you, that clause is a fraud, because the clause, according to the Power Advocacy Group, that is all Electricity Consumer Protection Forum, allows the discos to pay for the offices of the NERC Forum. I mean, and all other amenities according to how it is stated in the black and white. Meaning that if I come to report a leviathan to you as the ombudsman, and the leviathan is the one that is responsible for where the ombudsman is sleeping or taking his leisure, then how is the ombudsman going to be fair to me, the ordinary man? So that is what this means, that clause. So what do you feel about that too?
Yes, yes. So that is what I was trying to say. That of course we know that he who pays the piper dictates what the piper will play. So that is the tune, and that is the feedback we've been getting from them. The feedback we've been getting is as if this forum is, even when you come, they come with some sort of frontal aggression. They don't even want to hear you out. So it is difficult for someone to totally, disregard what has been said about somebody paying for their office, because they seem not to be working. So first, we discover that you cannot be a judge in your own case. An instance whereby you complain to the person that is actually the one committing the infraction, the complaint unit, we are bound to encounter this kind of problem. You move to the second one, you understand, we are still talking to the same set of people. Even if they find out that their officers have violated the law, they will look for a way to pad it and tell you this and tell you all manners of things just to frustrate the effort. Now the regulator, which is the NERC, the commission itself, needs to rise up to the occasion. By the power vested in them to make regulation, this regulation ought to be made to create a quasi-judicial body that, of course, will still use this medium, this alternative, dispute resolution of mediation, conciliation, reconciliation, without necessarily going to court. But they should make them independent. They should make a regulation maybe where the bodies, the officers of that, independent body will be drawn maybe from people that have no stake at all, that have no nexus or stake whatsoever with the discourse. They will be able to be dispassionate and independent and impartial. You cannot take your case to the executioner, to the person that committed the offense, to the judge. And that's the problem. And that is why this thing will go on indefinitely. That is why the smart ones have always known that it's a waste of time going through the process. They rush straight to court ahead. And the courts, in fairness to them, has been rising up to the occasion. The court has been telling them that your tariff increment is unlawful, your capping, you have not been following it. They have been slamming them with damages for unlawful, disconnection of power from suppliers. It seems that the court is the only avenue, and what is the point? The trend now globally is for people to shy away from using the court because the courts grind slowly. And we know that justice delayed, justice denied.
But sir, can't you advise government to create maybe a kind of a mobile court, a pay as you go kind of court? In Lagos at the time, they say, oh, if you cross the road, they put you into a black area, and there's a kind of...
You see, Mr. Asabe, the way that all this thing will be put to an end is let them follow the order of capping that says that estimated billing has been abolished, and let them supply Nigerians with prepaid meter. End of story. Once my power is exhausted, I know there's no power supply. It will reduce the conflict, the dispute to the barest minimum. Except for people that are tampering with meters and all that. It will reduce it. But the attitude of the discourse, the attitude of the maps, the map reading, their attitude is, the feelers we get is they have been lethargic in the release of this meter. The meter they are supposed to produce to consumers free of charge to start with, they started collecting money. Despite collecting money, I had an instance of a client that paid for 3 meters for over a month. They refused to give him the meter, and they still kept applying the old estimated billing, and they are surcharging, the building. And when those people are unable to comply, they disconnect them unlawfully without even following the procedure.
So it even brought me to the issue of another person that I want to bring to your notice too. Is also in the Lerato area. I mean, before I went to Abuja last time, that was on the 28th of last month, there was one larger annoyance that works with the same Fred Odogbo's service, what they call that place, Abule Taylor undertaking. And the particular house near Lerato is, in fact, it was one of those landlords that didn't even want to talk to us on camera. The last time we went to investigate Fred, he was so shy. But this time around, he paid 3 prepaid metered, and for more than 2 months, going to 3 months, I think it has even passed 3 months now, he has been calling them. They kept telling him all sort of lies, manufactured lies, productive lies, and all that, appealing to him. At times they were telling your meter is scheduled for so time. Eventually, he discovered that they wanted to take bribe. They wanted bribe, and he was telling them that, no, look, I don't have time for bribe. I went to borrow money to take this prepaid so that my tenant can enjoy, a good service, and you will stop billing us irregularly. And they were still sending people to come and take money from the outstanding, and if they don't want to settle them, they will take bribe. And we had a recording of where a young man was taking bribe, and the people with the ladder took the ladder off. So we were called, and luckily we were around that area that day. So I investigated the young man, and he said he's a casual staff. I said, who do you work with? He said he work with Fred. But he's a casual staff, that he want to collect money. I said, where are the guys that brought you here? He said they have taken their ladder away. He used to just collect money, and the whole building were running around asking each other that, come on, come on, you want to be. And the man was calling them only for Alaja Noimot, the staff of Ikeja Electric, Abule Taylor, to come one morning and said, Shenyile Moronso Abi, and let's bribe, and she pulled down their lights. Pull it down, and right now they are still on it. And when this guy now started making more noise on Twitter, I think the overall office now had, and they sent a message to, the meter producing company, and that is when they started running around. But Alaja has disconnected their light, and after disconnecting the light, when the tenant went to Fred's office, Fred said he was not aware. In fairness to him, Fred Odugbo said he was not aware. He even gave them the number of Alaja. But Alaja brought disconnection order. Now, you knew that these people are your customer. They paid for prepaid, 3 prepaid, for going to 3 months. You didn't give them. And because the man was complaining, then you, Alaja Noimot, the staff that just waited, came with ladder and disconnected them, put them off lights for 3 months, for 3 weeks, going to a month now. They've been darkness with the tenants, confusion between landlord and tenant, and everything. Sir, even it's like they want to take the case up now. So, sir, what do you say to this kind of a thing?
Yes, like I said the other time, that you see, it still boils down to, systemic problem, created by men. This is a problem that some people have twerked the system, to hoodwink, not only their employers, but to also cheat, the innocent customers of this discourse. Now, you've mentioned some names of some people and all that. Yes, that is the trend. They'll disconnect you unless you give them kickback or you grease their palm, they won't reconnect you. And the next thing is that they go on being vindictive. You reported me. How can, the said complaint mechanism that we talked about, how can it work? When you are even complaining to them, you wrote them, you didn't get a feedback, you're not even complaining to them, verbal verbochi, like lawyers will say, orally, and they said that because you complain.
So we have it on video. This lady came to boast. We also have other videos.
You can imagine that because you complain, that you will see hell. And that is what we have. So such people should be fired. Because their conduct, is not only, appalling, it's unlawful. What power, what authority do you derive? Even the disco, as an artificial person, you understand, recognized by the law, do not have the power to disconnect without falling, not to talk of individual. It is not only unlawful to the law, it's also criminal.
But majority of Nigerians don't know, sir.
It's criminal. I am urging Nigeria now, when there is such an illegality, advise the police, petition them, write to the police, let the police investigate them. The law is very clear. The law says that any contravention of the act, that is the Electricity Sector Power Sector Reform Act 2005, that any violation of that right is a criminal offense. And once it's a criminal offense, the police have the power to investigate, and if in a case you accrue against such person, the police have the power to prosecute. So Nigerians, since their mechanism for dispute has failed and has failed abysmally, Nigerians should approach the police. And I'm sure the police are also suffering from this their attitude. So police will be very eager to support them. And I heard Nigerian police to be brave. I know that people behind this discourse are strong people, but they should be brave. It's the law. They should apply the law the way it is. And that's the way. So I think that, one, the tripod system as stipulated by the regulations for handling complaints and all that cannot work. We have tested it. We are not saying it theoretically. We have tested it, we have engaged the system, and it doesn't work. That is why there is exodus, mass exodus to the court. So there is mass exodus to go because it doesn't work. So Nigerians, for the commission, if the commission wants to show any form of seriousness, they should revamp, they should review the regulation and ensure that these consumer complaint units, they are independent. They can set up a fund for that. That is from that fund that they will pay their salary. Because if the discos pays their salary, the discos will still make them down to their two. They create a fund for their regulation where they will pay them. And their work will be attend to customers' complaint. That is when it can work. Otherwise, we're just kidding ourselves.
So, but what did you see to NERC itself? There's this apathy from Nigerians that NERC itself is a real problem. Because recently now, there was sudden increments in tariff, especially as regard the units and all that, and they just took it from 21 naira 30 kobo to 52 naira 62 naira, so much absurd amount of money. And people that are buying prepaid, even the prepaid people, customers are highly affected because their unit dropped. And if you are paying like 5,000 for a month before, now you are now forced to pay between 10 or 15,000 naira, and almost 200% increase. And you imagine somebody that is collecting 30,000 as a basic salary, and you are taking almost a quarter, you're taking half of the money for power, or more than even half for power alone, not to talk of transportation, not to talk of food, not to talk of school fees. And you imagine what kind of a country is this? Who are the people in charge of the democratic process? So then NERC now came out to say, oh, they've had engagement, that they've related with customers at large before they reach out at this decision of increment, sudden increment in a post-COVID-19 era, where people are just smarting out from the economic deforms of the pandemic and all that. And from what we got from the advocacy group, especially all power consumer protection forum, is that there was no discussion, there was no interaction between either Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission, NERC, the discos, and the consumers. It was just a kind of backyard surreptitious emergency declaration. So what do you think about NERC?
How would there have even been a consultation where the whole countries, or where virtually all the nations of the world are on lockdown? So where is the consultation? You are a stakeholder, I am a stakeholder, we live in Nigeria. We didn't get any feedback, any form of consultation that the tariff would be increased or anything.
Not even a phone call, not even an SMS.
Phone call, not even an SMS. We all woke up, during this post-COVID, we all woke up one morning and we heard there is tariff increase. You understand, across board. And they followed that with pump price. You understand? So the issue of consultation, they shouldn't go there. That is part of what we are saying, that insincerity in dealing with, with Nigerians. So they shouldn't go there at all. So we are of still the opinion that one of the ways out of this quagmire is supply people with prepaid meters. Abide by the laws. The capping order has made it clear that estimated billing has been abolished. Abide by this order. When you want to disconnect people, abide by the procedures for disconnection. There is a regulation to that effect, made pursuant to Section 96 of the law. Abide by all this. When you abide, then dispute should be reduced to the barest minimum. And if you do not have people that are knowledgeable enough to guide you, to make a business, to make a plan, for compliance, employ lawyers. There are lawyers everywhere. Employ them. They generate this order. They will tell you, oh, your order is here. This will have to wait for the next, 10 days before you go to the next one. You have to ensure there is a 3-month gap in between. You understand? You have to ensure there is a 3-month gap in between before you disconnect people. You understand? Because when you put people that are not knowledgeable in law, that they don't even know the law that regulate, they don't even know the regulations.
They don't even know the rules of engagement.
They do not.
Customer.
That is the problem. So people that are absolutely ignorant of the regulation regulating them and all that, how do you expect them not to misbehave? So the still boy gets and engage lawyers, employ them. Theirs is just compliance. And this thing also will be cut to the barest minimum.
So, but in a situation whereby people, hundreds of people, let me say, 2, 3, 4, 5 communities complain that this person has destroyed our business, this person has made life unbearable for us, he sent his boys to disconnect us, he has dealt with us in ways that we cannot explain, he has treated us so unfairly, and the person is still sitting there in that undertaking office. I mean, the case of Abule Taylor and the communities around. What do you think, Ikeja Electric, how will you describe them as a company in terms of ethics? Because I remember severally, I've gone into branches of UBA, United Bank of Africa, and I saw things that were so absurd. I just wrote on Facebook, and they changed the managers. And I must commend UBA for that. It's one of the best standard world ethical company. I mean, I've seen situations where I entered places that crowd were there, and there were a lot of hanky-panky going on, and I reported just on Facebook. And by the time I go next time, they've created another strategy. For instance, there was a time I entered the Abule Egba branch of UBA, and a security man was collecting money. There was too much crowd. The ATM machine were not working. And the next time I went there, they removed the manager. They put another Igbo lady, and there was now drop boss, whereby if your money is less than 10,000, you can drop and just let there be free movement in the bank so that people can go, so that you won't create nuisance and there will be no crowd. So, but in the case of Ikeja Electric, you report a service manager. There's a video, there's a lot of allegations about his conduct, especially as related with customers, how he threatens people, how he talk to people, how he say things that I will do this and he get away with it, and the guy is still sitting on that seat.
Yes, you see, it still boils down to what we have been saying, that, you cannot be a judge in your own case. And that is what is here now. This same person, this complaint that has been leveled against this particular character, you understand that you said, I've seen videos where allegation has been made, and a responsible organization should have just to say you are dealing with the public. This is not a favor you're doing. People are paying, and we all know that customers are the kings. So if customers are the king, the customer is saying we do not like the service, is either you retrain that person or you redeploy him. You understand? But their lethargy and their failure in doing that shows that the same man might probably be acting under instruction.
Because a lot of people feel that because last year they said they sponsor him abroad with his family as the best service manager who made cash drive in terms of cash drive. And we also had, there's another one, we just got his name before yesterday in I think far away from Jankara, who also did the same last year. His family were abroad, and that they used to do all these things for them to make them work. They would tell them generate so amount of money, and most of them are on cash drive. Even the Noimos we are talking about, we had it from another source on record that said that she once complained that it's about cash drive, that you have to just make money at all costs. So is that human?
You see, that is it. That explains why That explains why they've been treating people's complaint with levity. Because as a corporate organization, the basic objective is to make profit. You understand? But the Nigerian electric sector industry is not just any other private business. It's a public utility system, and it's something that is regulated by law. So a responsible corporate organization is supposed to comply to the letter. So when you send people, you give them absolute unfettered power to misbehave just to generate money, what do we get? This is what we are getting. And you have shut down customers from complaining. They can't complain. From the mechanism you set up, they can't complain. In my own case, we sent a petition to the forum. And they told us that if they don't see the stamp of the disco on it, they won't treat.
Meanwhile, you've sent to the disco, and also
the evidence of sending to them is there. The one that it was even acknowledged on it is there, and they refused to treat it. And when we escalated to the commission, the same lady quickly sent a mail that has told us that it was not stamped, and it's still repeating the same, infantile defense. How does that, what I know, people that are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring justice, they do not get carried away by trivialities, frivolities, or technicality. They see to it that justice is done. But when you put people that are apparently, with limited cognition, limited knowledge in that area, that's what we're bound to get. Someone that does not know that you need, this is a complaint, as you treat the substance. You understand? And not the frivolities. I know that. This same person told us that we didn't get a stamp. And we went there, they said they cannot collect.
Physically.
Because
of COVID-19.
Yeah, someone that cannot.
They can collect cash physically.
Yeah, someone that they can go about disconnecting people illegally. Someone that cannot collect physically, how can such person stamp? And it's aware, even when we got to their office, they informed us.
I mean, is it only or Alausa?
No, the forum. They informed us, sent us by mail. This same person, this Ikeja, they won't tell you should send it by mail. They will not receive. We serve by courier, we serve to you. If they are not refusing, you have their network. Like you said, they work together. Forward it to them. Treat as urgent. There is a grievous allegation of stealing. It's criminal, leveled against, some of your officers. You treat with utmost, urgency.
Like how many more now they've been putting on this suspects?
We've on it for 3 months. And the way it looks, I think the only way we can go about it is to go to court. Because court seems the hope of, the last hope of common man. Because we have tried, a woman instructed us to carry out this instruction. There is a stipulated rule. As lawyers, we follow these rules to the letter from point to point. Well, it seems not to be working. So it's very appalling, and I will be recommending to the discos to either retrain their staffs, redeploy them, but they should do something, because it will get to a time Nigerians will take out class action. You understand? It's just that we have our hands on so many things. We will take out class action.
And that will cost them a lot.
Yes, we will take out class action. The whole of customers of Ikeja, disco, will take out the class action. That this incessant violation of the law must stop. You just wake up one morning, there's cash drive, you just go anywhere. Someone that you have had a prior agreement with that, okay, we have staggered your payment, you pay monthly. You have entered an agreement with that person. Next thing, because on cash, you just go. If you don't pay 40%, and the law stipulates that a customer has the right to stagger the payment, to pay instrumentally. It's in the law. We're not making it up. It's there. The law is so comprehensive, but human being has made the law impossible to operate. So our recommendation, as we keep saying it, is that people at that place, particularly that Akonjo, Abulete law, they should either get redeployed, retrained. Something must be done. They should not wait until people start taking out suits against them, until Nigerians take out class action against them, until people start taking out criminal petitions against them, which will further distract them. Will distract them, will distract business, and that profit they seem they are looking at, they might eventually, not get those profits.
So, on last note, what do you advise government to do? Because recently there was a report that came out that say Mr. Goodluck Jonathan made a mess of the privatization process by selling it to a cabal of capitalists, elitists, people who cannot manage 100,000 in a minute. I mean, somebody that can go to a car lot and buy 3 Ferrari for his daughter, and he has investment in power sector, a business that's supposed to have a human face. I mean, a business that's supposed to be a common benefit to every Nigerian light. Even God said, let there be light. And a lot of people said maybe it was Jonathan that sold our happiness off to the cabals, business cabals, and that President Buhari should look into that business transaction, and he should look at a possible review, and maybe we should get people from outside, unlock the business strategy, let it have a human face, and let it be a bit subtle, not oligopolistic, or not strenuous and deadly to people's health.
Yes, you see, on this issue of I used to tell people in my private, treaty with people that the formal private sector, they are overrated. They are overrated.
What do you mean, sir?
Yes, the private sector say, somebody did well in private sector because private sector, they are efficient, they are effectual. So if we give it to them, they'll manage it better than the government. That was the basis of this. Unbundling on PCN. But we know that some of these things, some of these people, they engage in all manners of shenanigans.
So sorry, sir. For instance, how can somebody like Emeka Ofo, who has done a lot of businesses, he was a politician, he was a businessman, I mean, someone like Mr. Dedola, God bless him anyway he is, but somebody that can go into a garage and buy 3 Ferrari for his daughters. Then somebody like former president, I mean, Abdusalam Abubakar, I mean, who is a military officer, and a lot of other influential names. Somebody like even the MD of a bank that failed. I mean, it depends on Mr. Tony Ayeni and some of them. Yeah. I mean, are we safe?
So that's exactly what I said, that the former private sector, they are overrated. They're overrated. We know that some of them, how they run their organization aground, by their ostentatious lifestyle, by, their so-called, in quote, business acumen. Now we are here. Business that is done, that is deprived of integrity, that is deprived of, probity, accountability, sincerity, and loyalty. Such business will fail eventually. Because you cannot continuously steal from people and you understand that karma will not turn around. And that's part of the problem. I think it's time for government to buy back to buy back all this. I know if it were to be given to government to supply prepaid meter, they did it. They supplied the old meters. They went to interiors in various, places in Nigeria. The rural electrification, they did it. If it were to be government seems to be even more efficient than what we have on ground now. We believe that once we pay our bill, we should be able to get light 24 hours. That was the thinking of government. That was the thinking. But now you're ready to pay 24 hours, they will not give you light, and they will say you must pay for the light that you have not consumed. So I believe that it's time for government to review the memoranda that they signed with the telcos, the discos, the TCN. They should review these laws, and it's time they buy back these things. Because I know government will do a better job than what we see on ground. That's just my...
But there's also another fear that there was one useless clause that they are going to pay some $300 million for them if they cancel it before 10 years. I mean, does that hold? And then Jonathan was even saying, according to news, that he was not aware of who signed that obnoxious law.
You see, when a contract, you understand, is tainted by illegality, such contract is unenforceable. If the issue of fraudulent misrepresentation found its way into such an agreement, and it can be proved to the court that it's fraudulent, they cannot enforce it. It will become unenforceable. Now, what is important, the government have no business in business. Government's business is to ensure that life is better for people, that people live comfortably, they are protected, they are provided with basic community, there is social security, there is financial security. That is the purpose of governance. If government today decides to buy back, and they can ascertain and prove to the courts in clear terms that there was fraudulent misrepresentation on the part of the signatory of that, they cannot enforce it. They cannot. So government, apart from government, has the power to buy this thing back. They have failed. Their failure, their apparent failure is even a breach at their instance. And if there is such a breach at their instance, the other party has the right to repudiate the contract. So the government has the right to repudiate that contract. They can they can go to the National Assembly and amend the laws. And all that, but they should be, of course, they should be treated fairly. They could be treated fairly, but when something is apparently not working, government should be bold enough to say it's not working. It's either they call them to order or they terminate it outrightly. That's the way to go.
On the very last note, sir, the issue of increments, sudden increments, Nigerians are crying. The bill is just turning up now, and you don't know what they're going to bring in October that we're going to celebrate 60. Do you think that people should now start witnessing disconnection, mass disconnection of light, protests everywhere because they're going to bring some humongous, obnoxious bill? So what do you think government should do? Because they are still negotiating with the labor unions and the advocacy groups.
Well, for me, it will get to a time that people will not be able to buy the lights or the power. Instances where you're bringing, when you're using the hold parameter, you are bringing 48,000 naira for a flat, and now there is 200% increment. That means somebody will be paying almost 150,000 naira per month just on power. It will get to a time Nigerians will not be unable to buy, and everything still boils down to the government. If the government does not rise up now, and people should rise up, it will not, be fine for everybody. So government, we urge government to rise up and stand to the occasion. Government should regulate them like they promise. Government should ensure, you understand, they have a KPI high, they have, a form of parameter, they have a body that assesses them, that says that, okay, in the area of compliance, you are doing, in the area of power supply, in the area of quality, the government should check all this out. So anybody, one of them that is swallowing, government can sanction them. But for me, all those ones are messing after death. Because, like we just revealed, like you said, the people behind this discourse, they are high and mighty. So the only way is for government to buy back and go back to the drawing board. This thing works even in some African countries. Why can't it work here? Why is it that nothing works in this climate? So, in conclusion, I'm urging the government to step up its game. People do not understand that it's a private organization. Everything is government. That is why government must rise up to the occasion and ensure that things are done properly. Otherwise, buy back and take over. The government take over this thing from them. They are making they are making humongous profits for nothing. Because some of them actually borrowed at exorbitant cutthroat interest to pay back. So why should Nigerians suffer for your indiscretion? Some of you want to raise $131 million to buy. You go to bank, you take it as cutthroat interest. Now to pay back, you have to shift the burden back to the common man. So what is the point? What is the point? So government needs to look into this. Government needs to take this thing back from these people.
Well, we have to thank you so much, sir. It has been a very wonderful time with Barrister Femi Adisa-ISIKAlu, a wonderful energy lawyer. He has been able to put a lot of light into issues that are very, very, what can I call it, obnoxious, issues that's headache inclined. You ask yourself, if you cannot benefit in your own country by your own democracy and for the sake of your own government, then you wonder. So we are still going on this issue. It's not going to stop here. Discourse continue till we find another time. We bring another interesting personality on this issue of electricity hike and general good customer service. Keep the discourse on. Goodbye.